Hey everyone, it's Dim and Kej. Welcome back to another episode of Namaste Rich. I believe we are on episode number 13. Hello, welcome, Kej.
Yeah, nah, thanks for the intro, Dim. Nah, looking forward to this one. Yeah, normally we just kind of just wing this and just have things to talk about, but I was rattling my brain today and I couldn't it was just a pretty standard week, so I didn't really have anything like fresh. Like usually we kind of commentate on what's happened in our week and kind of bring that into the convo. But I did I saw like a piece of content and I thought like it's probably relevant to kind of things that we speak about. So I was just gonna ask you something about that. How about we do it that way?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Kej. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to
You might have, oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, do you want to give people the synopsis of the video?
Yeah, that one. It's pretty like it's the kind of thing that we always talk about, but it's just framed in a very simple way. And it was just like they called it like the four burner theory, like as a
Mm.
cook, yeah, as a cooktop. And you got four burners. So you got family, work, health, and I think it was family, work, health, and friends. And the theory is like, you know, you can't really have all four at 75% all the time. And it's just like if you really want to excel, like you can only really have two full blast all the time, and the others will be dim, or like you can have three at 75 and one would be low, and kind of things like that. So I think the whole theme of this podcast is kind of like, namaste with balance and richness in all parts of life. But it's something that we always talk about, but it just made me think, how realistic actually is it? And is true balance, you know, having all burners running at a certain level? Because in reality, and going off on a bit of a tangent, but in reality, when I see people out there, like you see all these people that, and to the extreme, the people that you see, the Elon Musks of the world and the Jeff, but they all have like pretty poor relationships and poor marriages and all these kinds of things, but they're kind of excelling in this front. And the family stuff, you probably don't see celebrities, but people that I just know in my life, they're like amazing dads and really good with their family and they put a lot of effort in that, but they don't want to work as hard and they don't want to do that. So very rarely do I find someone that's got the mix of everything, which is what I kind of strive towards. But yeah, just keen to hear general thoughts and is it a real thing, in your opinion?
Man, I'd love to also hear. Can I ask you some questions about it, Kej?
Yeah, please.
Um, because there's Dim's opinion, but then there's also our experience
Yeah.
from trying to apply this stuff, right? And so I invite also for the view for people watching, like I ask you the question, like have that has that manifested in your life? And it maybe you can think about the questions I'm about to offer to Kedge. Kedge, can I ask you, man, like when you were building your because to me, the way I perceive your current professional life is you, to me, have a good grounding of a whole set of different skills, being like sales, business, property. Like there's a whole there's like four different skills which are very, very strong with you, and they're coming together with your current business is kind of my understanding.
Sure.
My question is, bro, when you were growing those skills, growing your prowess in property, sales, etc., did you have an uneven balance?
No, definitely like uneven, like as in uneven, even like from a health perspective, like yeah, 6 months. I think we spoke about this before, but running super hard, working on these skills, trying to blow things up, but going too aggressive, that health took a hit. So then, like, more from a mental health perspective rather than physical health, but then really draining myself and then being like just out for 6 months and, just not functioning, burnt out, also not putting, yeah, the same energy, yeah, cutting friends out of my life for a certain period of time. So I just didn't have the time for it and all those kinds of things. Um, but the question I ask myself is like, I'm very happy with where I'm at now, but
Yes.
is that the necessary journey to go on, or was that just my journey? So
Yeah.
that's the question. Because like in hindsight, like it's hard, right? I'm very happy with where I am now, so maybe that was the necessary path. But yeah, I guess for anyone else that's currently on the journey, and I'm still, we're all on the journey, but different. Like, would that be the advice? Like, let these two burners run and sacrifice that and come back and fix it later, Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's my question back to you, I guess.
Well, to me, man, honestly, in my experience, every to me, like, okay, so from a coaching capacity, Our
Yeah.
job is to not tell people what to do or to make them be like us. Our job is to help someone achieve their goal. So if
Yeah.
that person wants to get a six-figure quarter in their sales or whatever, then a six-figure commission in their sales quarter, then our job is to help them with the strategy to do it. But I think a good coach is the one that also says, my bro, if you're going to do this,
Yeah.
these are the benefits and drawbacks that come with that path. So if you're going to punch it like this, here's probably what you're going to have to do that you don't see coming. Like maybe you're not going to spend as much time with your family or your friends or your health. Man, this is actually a lovely topic. What I would say, man, and Kedge, just please interrupt me at any time. What I would say is um two things. Number one, there's immersion and there's maintenance. So this is the way Tony Robbins describes it. He goes, honestly, if you seriously want to build something, you're going to have to immerse yourself in an area. That could be your relationship. You sometimes you need to take that time to really put the effort in to get it to a certain point. So the immersion period, as opposed to dabbling. Uh, and then you can put it into maintenance because you've kind of developed enough of the initial groundwork
Mm.
and then you've developed the skills within yourself, etc., the relationship, so you can put it more into maintenance. Uh, I'm of the opinion, if you're asking me, I'm actually very comfortable with the imbalances. I don't believe personally that one is better than the other. I think that there's a perception that one is better than the other. But I'm of the opinion that the truth about life is there's going to be periods where you will have to immerse, and in that time, the others are going to be put on the back burner or just maintained.
Mm.
And then there's also going to be times where everything's just going to be all balanced and nicely kind of humming, like
Mm.
a yeah, like
Yeah.
a spiral. Yeah, that there's so much more I could say about this. But Kedge, anything?
Yeah. I'm gonna add something, get another layer to this now. All right. So because there's that, but then because okay, assuming obviously there's more areas than these four, but for simplicity's sake, let's say 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 4, right? Just for simplicity's sake, obviously there's even within each of these layers, there's probably multiple layers, right?
Nice.
But I'll keep it simple for now. So for me, as in, and I'll give two different versions. So for me, yeah, because wealth building and stuff sits at a relatively high value for me, right? And funnily enough, like family, and as much as family and stuff is so important, it's a little bit lower in the level of my values, just for whatever that reason is. But when I'm putting here and I'm feeling good, not necessarily in the outcome, but just doing my wealth building journey and all that kind of stuff, then I feel like I'm better at my family and being present with them and all those other things too, right? So
Beautiful.
then it's like it becomes so by getting that order right, it's not like a 1 + 1 + 1 equals 4. It's like when you kind of do it in the right order, it's like almost equals 10. So
Yeah,
you've got more to play with as opposed to trying to just balance them, if
yeah,
that makes sense. And on the flip side, and I'm sure it's true for other people, um, for example, say family and and that stuff's a higher value for them. If they're doing that, they then might go do better at their job or their career because they're excelling in their highest value there. Would
yes.
that be so? Is that another layer to kind of put
I
on
would
top of?
definitely
Yeah,
100% agree with that. And I think
yeah,
that I think a lot of people don't understand that because a lot of people won't know that language about values. So for people listening, like uh, you can interchange the word values with the things that light you up or you naturally enjoy or you're naturally motivated by or you just naturally love, right? So the thing is, there's actual intrinsic values, which is what actually genuinely is unique about you that you really love. So there's intrinsic values and there's injected values. Injected values is I should be more like this, as opposed to I get to do this podcast with Kedge it's like, oh, I should rock up for this episode with Kej. It's a different thing. It's like in when it's injected, it's more like I should, I ought to, I need to, I must, right? It's just like it's you're living by someone else's rules for your life or someone else's expectations. Whereas when it's a value that you actually love and it's intrinsic, means it's coming from within, that value, then you actually say, man, I get to do this, man, I can't wait to do this,
Mm.
man, I just did this, it was amazing, like
Mm.
that's the difference. And so the thing is, when we project our values onto other people and inject our values onto others, or other people try to inject their values or they project their values onto us, that's what leads to a lot of people just judging false, like in my view, improperly judging others. So
Mm.
for example, like someone might look at Kedge and be like, hey man, you don't spend enough time with your family, you know but the thing is, I think what is beautiful is like Kedge recognizes that, at least for this time in his life, wealth building is just genuinely a freaking high value of his, and it lights him up. Um, number one. Number two, I think what's very beautiful is that I think his wife knows that about him and is not trying to inject her values onto him, that Ked should be different. In
Mm.
fact, she can kind of see the complementary opposites of how their values fit together. Whereas I can't speak for Gaia at all, but like, to my understanding, if she would have a higher value, for example, on family, but maybe a lower value on wealth building, she might be like, sweet, because sweet, like that's cool because I'm enjoying family. I'm not trying to inject family onto Kedge. And I don't really want to do wealth building, and I appreciate the Kedge does it. So it's the complementary opposites of the values. That's kind of like one other lens. There's more to it, but what do you think about that, Kedge?
Yeah, oh yeah. I think there's layer upon layer upon layer on this kind of stuff. But yeah, no, 100%. And it's just, yeah, and I think just to echo that point I think I made earlier, it's just like, yeah, when you kind of get to live in your higher values, you just end up doing you start to enjoy all the other stuff more. Like, so I know if I wasn't, even if I wasn't succeeding yet, but I was still operating there and I was on the journey, that's all that needs to happen. And then I'll just be a better family man. But if I wasn't doing that, I reckon I'll probably end up being a shit husband and a shit dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd hate
So
your
it's
life
like,
anyway. So yeah,
say it again.
you'd hate your life anyway. So
Yeah, yeah, correct. So I think it's just knowing that, but I think it's then the hard. I think it takes a bit of time, and I'm gonna another question for you now. So it takes a bit of time and nuance to figure out truly what those values are, I guess, right? Because it's like, because how do you know if it's like you think it's intrinsic? What's the word? Intrinsic versus imposed? Is that what you said?
yeah, or
Yeah,
injected, but imposed.
injected. Yeah. So to know the difference between the two, right? Because a lot of these values that we do have do come, yeah, we don't know if we're being conditioned to think that. But then the question is, because then it's just like on your deathbed, right? Because people always come back and they have that question. You're reflecting back on your life and they say, oh, no one ever wishes they worked harder, or no one ever wishes they didn't care. They always regret the time they didn't spend with their family and their friends. And those are the times that they remember. So, so naturally, with a lot of the guys that we know and whatever, like they're placing wealth building pretty high on their values list, or it's. But so is that? Do you think for a lot of people it is truly their value? And even for me right now, I think it is. But am I going to regret it in the future? And don't get me wrong, I actually do spend a lot of time with my family and friends. I don't want to make it sound like I'm not. So I actually feel like I do more of that because I am. But um, yeah, do people have it the wrong way around? Because, yeah, can they or could they have it the wrong way around?
I think, man, what that question really is, to me, it's a lack of ownership of our decisions. It's just like we just got to do the best that we can with our best knowledge at the time.
Mm,
I remember, Kedge, I
yeah.
remember like when I was doing a graduate rotation, my boss at the end of it, he goes, Dim, do you have any regrets? He asked me like, what did you learn? What did you enjoy? He has a few questions, and one of them was like, Dim, do you have any regrets? And I honestly, I was 22, and I'm so proud of myself that like 15 years later, like I'm so proud of myself that about the answer I gave. I said I don't believe in regrets. I don't, because to
Mm,
me, regrets is a absolving yourself of taking responsibility of the fact that you made the best choice that you could at the time. And to me, I actually believe it's a victim mindset. It's just like, man, we I do believe it's on us to do the inner work as much as we can comprehend to make the best decision possible with what we've got. You know, I personally think regrets are bullshit. I don't know if that answers the question, Kesh.
Actually lost track of the specific. Oh, that's all right. No, no, that's right. I know I was asking. So it's like, do we potentially have our values flipped just based on the
Because of the
imposition
society and the culture,
other thing? And because like later on in life, a lot of it ends up becoming about love and connection, and that's like, later on in life, that's the people that people end up regretting more at the end of the journey. So do some of us have it flipped at the time because of society? Because like, could we be happy with a lot less and things like that and put more emphasis on these other things and be more satisfied? And it's just,
But
I
I
guess
know
that's
I know that I couldn't. Like I know that
yeah,
I don't think you could either. Like I
yeah.
think genuinely, like if you had to ramp down your work and
Mm,
ramp up your family time, you'd be like, oh fuck, man. Like I'm getting a
yeah,
little bit bored now, you know?
yeah,
So yeah, I feel
yeah. No, no, and that's how I feel. Just putting it out there, just as a just as a question, because just yeah, it's just interesting to like just interesting to think about, I guess.
I think it is, man. And
Yeah.
I think that like, for people listening to this, I would just say like you do want to be like to look like Kedge has done a lot of inner work. Like me and Kedge have done a lot. I think most people who are fresh listening to this would have done like no inner work, you
Mm,
know. So you want to do a level of inner work to ask yourself, okay, what genuinely actually lights me up, genuinely, what gives me a sense of energy, what makes my life, what makes my voice louder when I talk
mm,
about that subject, you know
mm,
because and it's about taking and you're right, Kedge, in regards to like so it is true. Society injects its values onto us, like the culture, number one. Number two, our voids also create our values. So usually we have lesser values that we develop because of our pains in our past, and they usually wear off over time. But what more can you do but do the inner work to, take a step out, go be well traveled, experience different things. So you get to, like, in my programs, the number there's 5 steps. The first one is know yourself, which is just like you want to do like we have different processes we take people through, but basically you want to do whatever processes that you want to do that help you get to know yourself, your values, the things that you actually love. When you step away from the noise, what actually does light you up. The reason being is because then you can have the least regret, you know? Yeah. That's right.
yeah. And I think So so I think so. The two ways to look at this, it's like because I think a lot of the stuff that comes up is trade-offs, right? But then it's like, okay, cool. If you're gonna do this, then you got to trade something off. But where the reframe slightly is rather than being a trade-off, if you're living in line with your values, like you actually even the thing that you would have to trade. What am I trying to say? If you're living in line in sequence with your values, you don't necessarily have to trade it off. Like you're gonna have more energy to give to everything overall.
Well, yeah, and also you don't really perceive it as a trade-off.
Yeah.
I would say that perceiving it as a trade-off is someone else's judgment of our decisions,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
Whereas for me, like for example, I'm single right now, but man, I feel insanely fulfilled. Like I really do, bro. I was telling you just before we turn on the camera as well, like I
yeah.
feel surrounded by love. So someone else might judge me as, oh, Dim's trading it off because he's working on his business so much. But man, Kedge, I remember like I think you'll quite enjoy a slight pivot here.
Yeah.
Um, I remember, Kedge, can I ask you this?
Yeah.
So uh someone once asked one of my mentors, why are there kids starving in Africa? Meaning, like, why do some people have a hard deal, a raw deal in life? Like why are we so lucky and why there's kids starving in Africa? I gotta ask, man, how would you answer that? What would you say about it?
I would struggle to answer it is where I was struggle to answer it because I was gonna say, yeah, this is not the right answer. Um, yeah, I would struggle to answer that question. So help me out. Help
Well,
me.
can I ask you this, Kedge? Because
Yeah,
I'm sure I know I can say some things, but I'm the
yeah,
one,
yeah,
I'm already pre-framed on the question, I guess you can say.
yeah,
But Kedge, can I just ask you this off the dome? Why do you
yeah.
think bad things happen to good people? Like if because that's basically the same question, right? Why is this kid starving in Africa? Why do bad things happen to good people?
Yes, I find that question easier to answer for someone like us, but when it's someone who is in that situation, feels a bit different to me. So, as in, why do bad things happen? I feel like, yeah, it's once again, there's the perception of bad. There's lessons to be learnt. There's the unit, and usually even for people like us, anyway, I'll come back to those other people in a second. But people like us, sometimes these bad things happen, and they'll happen again until we learn the lesson we're meant to learn, so that we can go. But for people that are in a situation where they're starving and they have no hope and no choice and not much they can do about it, I find, yeah, I find that harder to answer.
Yeah. It's a lovely one. I can share the lesson that I learned a long time ago from my mentor, but then over my, I guess, studies, it's amplified the same lesson in a very
Yeah.
beautiful way. So the way that my mentor explained it was, because someone had asked him, man, there's kids starving in Africa. Effectively, why do bad things happen to good people? That's the
Mm.
question.
Mm.
And the way that my mentor framed it was he spoke about the book by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. So for people who
Mm.
don't know, that he was a psychologist, a Jewish psychologist who went through the Nazi death camps. And I think every member of his family died, except for this guy. He made it through and he wrote this book called Man's Search for Meaning. And one of the passages in that book was uh the way the Nazis were feeding the Jewish people. This is very sickening, man. Like they basically just give them this watery stew. It's basically just hot water at best, if it's even hot, right? Where like a broth, almost like a broth. Um Now they're obviously living in basically hell. If there's only one thing we can say is hell, it's probably that. And he describes how somehow one of these days, because it's usually just water that they
Mm.
get. One of these days, he receives his meal, and it has a single tiny little, like what a crouton is, like a
Mm.
crouton,
Yeah.
like a little piece of potato, basically the size of a crouton, was inside his
Yeah.
soup bowl,
Yeah.
and he starts laughing hysterically about, and he's so happy that he gets it. And the point that he was trying to make, my mentor was trying to make, and also Viktor Frankl made in that book, was it's our judgment to say that the kids in Africa are unhappy.
Mm.
Because how many times, conversely, have you and me heard people say, "Oh, well, I went to this third world country and these people don't have shit, but they're so happy, they're so much happier than we all are,"
Yeah.
right? So it's actually kind of our Western judgment to even put that projection onto the Balinese people or the African people or whatever, that they're living worse than us. Keji, I feel like you're about to say something.
No, no, I fully agree. I think that's right. Because I guess the example that you gave for me was in my head, I was picturing, like, I think I'm on the same page as you, but I was picturing a much more like extreme example, which probably still the same applies, where people are starving. You see those videos where they're just skin and bones and they can't do anything. And I don't know if you would say the same thing in that situation, but like, yeah, you're right. Like, as you go to all these countries, and even in Fiji, you see some of these islanders, the community, and they just love their life, and they're probably happier than like 90% of the people that are here. I guess when you ask me that question, I was picturing, and I'm sure the same principle still applies, but I just find it harder to do that when you're just seeing them fucking dying, starving, barely can fucking walk, that kind of stuff.
Dude,
So
precisely, man,
yeah,
precisely. But I
yeah,
think I actually I've come through my work
mm,
to realize it's a judgment from us.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
self-righteous judgment from us to think that their life is less than ours.
yeah,
I think it's a more empowering stance to think of them and think, okay, what blessings are they having in their life? You
Mm.
know, because in the same way that we are here and we might be going through hard times, and you would maybe say to me when I was going through a hard time, dude, you want to also pay attention to the blessings and how can this be a good thing and how is this
Mm.
bringing the family together or this or that or whatever. Like in the same way, obviously, like no, look, we're all doing charity work. We're not. No one wants to see these kids starve, right? No one wants
Yeah.
to see these people, not just kids, people starve. But if you really believe in us all being equal and God or whomever loving us all, then it goes to it flows that there's blessings and benefits in their life that they are experiencing because of this life that
Mm.
somehow they chose at some higher level to get born into. And I know that's a bit more of a spiritual lens, but I'm simply saying that we don't know. It's a bit of a judgment call to look at the World Vision video and
Mm.
be like, okay, their life is 100% shit. You know,
Yeah,
like we
and
don't
no,
know.
100, and if and as in, and it might even be, would you say, like, if you were, because it's one of the things that we can't really measure, like if happiness is the measure of success, like there's so many people in the world that we live in that have all the luxuries in the world and they're miserable as shit, right? So, like, if happiness was the measure of success, like potentially, we don't really know, but it probably could even out, regardless of your life circumstance.
Well, yeah, we don't know. We
Yeah,
don't know. So
yeah,
that's why I actually think it's a lot more empowering. And that's why, and furthermore to this point,
yeah.
like a lot of people will blindly donate, just chuck money or donate something to alleviate their own sense of guilt.
Mm,
But actually, if you really want to help, like actually put your feet on the ground and actually
mm,
meet these people and actually see what they really need genuinely.
mm.
For example, there was a case, which I'll tell you something that I reckon most people would never have known. Uh, there was an area, I believe, in South Africa that they started to do all this funding for like small businesses to help small businesses grow. And in that area, the amount of scams and
Mm.
thieves
Of course.
rampantly grew.
Mm.
And the reason being is because it was just more convenient to people to just throw money and say, here's some money to start your small business than
Oh,
actually empower
yeah,
people, you know?
100%.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so the thing is, because those people were not empowered in financial management, it gets scammed and taken away, you know? And so yeah, there's a bigger picture than just
Yeah.
judging people, is what I would say.
Yeah, man. Nah, for
Not the
sure.
discussion we expected to launch straight into.
Nah, there's something that you talked about earlier that I wanted to spin back to as well when we finish this, right? So
Oh
there was
yeah,
a point we're talking about. So obviously we were talking when we were talking about the whole balance and the fault burn, and we talked about the relationship part as well and the dynamic in a potentially a husband-wife situation. You were talking about me and Gaia at the time. So I
yes,
wanted to ask you, so because I know you've set up one of your in your mastery courses that you have on your online courses, one of them is relationship mastery, right?
yeah, yes.
So I wanted to ask a couple of questions, right? Linked to this, right? So for me, as in, so the reason for me and Guy, obviously I've been through a few different relationships in the past, done a bit of inner work, a lot of inner work before getting to this relationship, kind of knew what I was looking for. So could see what I was looking for, and then the balance was there from the start. And then it still doesn't mean we don't have our challenges, and we will kind of work through it. All right. Imagine, okay, for a lot of people, they're already in relationships now, right? And they now want to harness that balance that we were talking about earlier. How would you say to start that journey to start working on that?
So harness the balance. Can you just please clarify?
Yeah, because I guess the difference for me, as in like as I was saying, was like figured out kind of what I wanted. So kind of from the beginning, chose a person where I could see that synergy to begin with,
Yeah.
and yeah, still got to keep working at things. But a lot of people may have not say that's not they haven't nailed that piece. They got it right for a lot of other things, but now from a balance perspective, and like they might be like, oh, like why haven't you done the dishes? Why haven't you done this? Or why are you not paying for this or money? Whatever. They're having all these arguments all the time because they're not seeing the balance isn't like a one for one. There's like a thing of how would you start that conversation
Yeah.
for someone like that?
Poor
Yeah.
people, man. Like my heart goes out because I think we've all been in difficult times in relationships. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, and most importantly, for if you're listening to this and you recognize yourself in that question, God bless you and love you, and we are no better than you. We are no better than you. Everyone goes through this.
Mm.
So God bless you. Um, what I would say is, dude, become a fucking master at relationships in general. So what does that mean? Because you fucking might as well become a fucking master in relationships, should you not? Because it's the most significant thing in your whole life, and it's going to consume your whole life, and it's going to be with you for the next 80 years or something. Is relationships. So I would imagine most people who are married or in a relationship or whatever, maybe 5% have read one relationship book. Like how much does anyone actually commit to mastering the area of relationships or to finance or whatever?
Mm.
They like people not, and then they just expect everything to go well. Like it doesn't make any sense, surely. So commit to mastering relationships. That's the mindset. And hope with that mindset, it's empowering and also gives you a sense of relief if you're listening to this, because if you fucking realize that you have not even read one relationship book or one book on communication or done one course
Mm.
on understanding male, female, masculine, feminine dynamics, if you suck and you're experiencing issues, hopefully this actually alleviates some pressure off you because you realize, fuck, I haven't worked on this at all. So it makes sense that I'm probably experiencing some challenges, right?
Why is that? It's just why, like, yeah, why is that?
Like,
Like, no, why is it that people haven't like in typically even though it's like one of the probably the more important things in your life, like, but why? Yeah, why is it?
people don't realize that. I think people are I think this society or culture or whatever is under some illusion that you don't have to. I don't know why, man, because I know why I'm invested in this shit,
Yeah.
because I have a deep wound throughout my childhood. I
Mm.
went to 8 different schools because we moved around a lot. So I have a deep wound from my childhood of not fitting in and not getting it and not understanding. And the kids that I grew up with were usually older than me, like, had two older boys than me. And at that age, I was 4, they were 8. So I never fit in. I never got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gonna say,
No,
Kej?
no, I'm listening. Sorry, I'm listening. Yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
I just have a deep wound,
yeah,
uh, getting slapped by the universe
yeah.
that I didn't understand. So I think I came to learn early on that cool, I don't know everything and I better learn some stuff, you know? But I think a lot of people didn't have that type of upbringing, and they had enough stability that they
Mm.
this illusion that, like, because with school, what you're supposed to learn just gets handed to you, right?
Sure.
So I think it just kind of creates an illusion in people's like original operating system in their brain that
Mm.
that everything that they need to learn will just get handed to them. But that's not actual real life.
Mm. And would you say though, like for example, someone that wants to build a business or whatever, like I can see typically they'll go try and learn and do stuff and figure it out and just like they would kind of do that. But when it comes to, would that same type of person who's committed to learning and that be more likely to invest in that, or do you still see a divergence that people would still see that there's a need to learn there, but they don't see the need for something like this?
Uh, I think there's two parts to that question.
Yeah.
I think that naturally, if it's in your highest values, you will generally be more okay with learning, for example, about business, for example.
Mm.
Usually it's pretty rare to find men who overall have relationships as like really, really high in their values, like intimate relationships.
Mm.
So for that reason, like they're most likely not going to like proactively be learning about it. Usually, and that usually leads to the second point, which is that people just need they need pain, right? Like we've all gone through painful breakups, and those painful breakups typically are the catalysts for us to look in within and go, oh shit, like this is the third time this has happened. Like maybe I need to like look at my own shit, you know? So
Mm.
a lot of people need that. But what I would say just really quickly, Keds, to that original question, um, like apart like I said commit to relationship mastery. What I would say for people who are listening to this right now, if you want to start somewhere, can I speak to that real quick, Kitch?
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
Like yeah. So the two things I would say for people listening, number one is get to know your own highest values and get to know your partner's highest values. Meaning specific, what that specifically means is, as for yourself as an individual, what is it that you genuinely actually love that you don't need anyone to motivate you to want to do? You genuinely want to do it. Like what are you naturally interested in from even from childhood? What's always been a theme in your life? Like what are the things that naturally light you up, that make your voice louder, that you genuinely love? Get to know that for yourself, and then get to know what your partners is also. um because when you have that, then you can actually learn to appreciate this person for who they are, as opposed to how well they're performing in the role that you're trying to fit them into. Like start with the human first. Start with actually going, man, let me just appreciate this human as a human. Number one. Number two, help that human do well. Help that human thrive. Help that human live more within their highest values. They'll
Mm.
appreciate the fuck out of you if you can do that for them. That's the most loving thing you can do. Number one, see them for who they really are. And number two, like appreciate them for who they really are, to the point that you actually help them do what they love to do. Then finally, number three, like understand for yourself, how is them doing their highest values, how does that help you do yours? Because if
Mm.
you can understand how them being them helps you be you, you're going to have a good time, and basic, and it's a journey of appreciation for each other at the deepest level. And then when you have that deeper level of understanding, having the conversation to mutually help each other meet your highest values will make you love the fuck out of each other.
Bro, that's on that was fucking so well said. As in, it's so simple, but as in, like, once again, intuitively in different ways have learned to do that. But I think that was a really nice, easy, simple way for people to understand, man. Because same way that we're kind of asking that from ourselves, and we're trying to live in order our values so that we can give each area of energy. Like, of course, why wouldn't we want to do that for the same for our partner, you know? And if they can do that, then overall, everyone's going to have so much more energy and love to give if they're doing that, right? So, well
Exactly.
said,
Exactly, man.
man.
Exactly. Kej, I didn't even get a chance to ask you this on today's podcast. How are you, man? How are you? How's your business? How's your family? How's everything going, man?
Yeah, good. Like nothing, like just a more of a steady week, as in business wise. I think I touched on one or two episodes ago. Like it's definitely been tougher environment. So we're still currently still generating the same result in terms of level of people that we're working with, but we're working, I would say, doubly hard to get the same level of clients at the moment. Just because more uncertainty in the air. I think there's so much conversations out there. I think less people are investing while there's all these budget changes and uncertainty and rate rises and all those kinds of things are going on. So um yeah, but genuinely just I truly like believe this, and it's like sometimes when you're in the trenches it's hard to see, but in this environment for us to maintain what we were doing when things because things always go in waves. So if we kind of keep putting this effort in and doing this, when the tide turns, like we're gonna like really reap the rewards. Because if we're maintaining the level of clients we are in a tougher environment, technically we have more market share than what we did before, right? So when tides turn and we still maintain that same percentage of market share, we would take, kind of go through. So it can feel scary, but this is and right now a lot of there was over the last I don't know, rough last 2, 3 years, there was the surge of the solo buyer's agent. Like people that would do their day jobs and then they'll do one or two deals on the side because it's not bad money if you can do that. Like it's 15 grand a client, a lot of time and energy and effort that goes into that. But even if you can do one of those a month along with your side job or along with your job, it's not terrible money at all. But what we're seeing though, obviously with the low barrier to entry and the rise of them, there was a lot of like shonky operators, a lot of like people that think so. They're all like folding at the moment. Like they're all getting smaller. There was, I think you touched on a few days ago. There was one of the bigger operators called Dashdot, which have like liquidated. So I think all the small operators are kind of folding, and it's a good opportunity for people like us who genuinely do a good job to go and take more market share in this environment. So
Can I ask you a question on that? I would love to personally hear your
yeah,
perspective.
yeah, yeah,
So when you were speaking, Kedge, the quote that was coming to my mind was it's from the third Batman movie from the
okay,
Christopher Nolan trilogy with Christian
yeah,
Bale, and he goes, "Peace has made you weak, victory has defeated you." And specifically, like everyone listening, um, in the third movie, Batman's basically cleaned up the streets. He took Joker out of the game, and he basically has experienced 5 to 10 years of peace. And then Bane comes along out of the woodwork, out of the shadows, and he crushes Batman and he breaks his back. And then he says that quote, "Peace has made you weak, victory has defeated you." Now, I deeply understand this from a DeMartini lens and stuff. I deeply understand it. Furthermore, I'll just quickly say that, you know, it's you just don't learn shit from victory half as much as you learn from things not working out or from the market size getting smaller or the deals getting tougher to do. Like you become so much stronger, even though it sucks. Um,
mm,
it really sucks. Like you just become so much better because of those hard times. So to Kedge's point, then when the tides turn, you crush.
yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't even say it's like a yeah, exactly. In my mind, it's not even a bad thing. Like I actually like truly, and because I know because I know there were so many like average operators out there. Like I actually love it because the clients are now looking for people that can actually they're more confused than ever, so they actually need to speak to good people that can take them from confusion to clarity and to action. So and I just love seeing like I can see when we're showing them stuff and I can see their eyes go from being so confused to like so clear, and then they execute and you can just see it, and that is where I get the satisfaction from, honestly. And I just know, and that's just always how we've operated. So yeah, and I just think we deserve it because we operate that way. So, and now the people that haven't been operating that way, in my opinion, don't deserve that. So, like, we're here to take the spoils. So,
100%, 100.
yeah,
I have the exact same mindset on that,
yeah,
dude. Can I ask you this, man? I think for me personally, this is a real genuine. I'm looking for some advice question, Kedge.
yeah,
So I think for me personally, like I have gone through so many of the I perceive that I've gone through so many of those hard times, and I can see because of those times, especially in the last 7 years, uh there's like an there's you can see certain characteristics and an edge and all this stuff that kind of emerged from me to help me get through those times.
sure.
I want to say this to you very openly and vulnerably, bro. There is a part of me, my bro, for sure, that is like afraid to lose because so basically, my dude, it's like you've gone through like a war for
Hmm.
many years, and so you're kind of like this grimy version of yourself
Yeah.
that's just hardcore and a bit too blunt and maybe just gives off a big fuck you to people around who don't
Hmm.
know me. So that's obviously a shell that got developed to help me get through that time. So my question to you, Cage, is like, do you have any advice on like how do you get out of that so obviously now I'm in peacetime.
Yeah.
You get the question.
I get the question. And it's hard 'cause I think I was let me, yeah, this is like, I talk very honestly and openly, right? So, when I first met you, because I didn't know you, right? So I didn't know you at the time, and I came you, and you genuinely seemed like an angel, right? So the opposite of like the hardened, like obviously at that first, it's when you would have first started your business. So you would have, not I don't know if naive's the word, naive to the challenges that were going to come and how hard it's going to be and build a business and like it was and what am I trying to say? I think that is the version I think of you. It as in, yeah, it would have been that version of you wouldn't have helped you through the tough times, but that version of you is where I feel like the magic is. And that version of you is still who you are, but it's just like obviously hardened by the tough times of the other sides of the business, and it's kind of hard to juggle everything. But that is like the artist, that's what as a coach, the artist, and that's how you've had so many breakthroughs with all your clients and all these kinds of things. And I think for me, that's the version of yourself. It might feel if you're in peacetime now, even like it might feel like it's going to happen a bit slower. It might take a bit longer, but I think that's where the breakthrough will happen because I feel, in my opinion, anyway, that's the real you. As in, I don't know what that means, but you might think otherwise, right? Because you're like whatever. But for me, that's how it started. That's why you started things, and yeah, and I think that's the version and it might be very selfish. Maybe that's what I want to see more of. So, yeah, I think that's yeah. What do you think? What do you think to that statement?
You okay for us to keep talking about this?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Of
yeah,
course. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so, bro, like, I will say this to you, man. Honestly, like, from like 2 weeks ago or so, genuinely,
Yeah,
it's like I really have been a lot more. I feel of that
yeah.
original
Awesome.
version.
Yeah,
Like I actually feel, Cage, because I'm 30. We're 37 now, or I'm
yeah,
37 now.
yeah.
Like, are you 37?
No, you're aging me, bro. I'm not even 35. 35 this year. But anyway.
I can see your face. I can see your face. This is the first in all our podcasts. I can see your face just get upset. Going, what the fuck?
It's funny. I didn't notice that I did that, but yeah, there you go.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Apologies.
yeah.
So, like, um, bro, it's funny. I'm 37 now. Bro, I actually feel like I'm 28 again in terms of
Yeah, no.
how good I felt and how my energy, dude, my physique started like it's like better than it's ever been. Like I it just came out of nowhere, bro. It's
Mm.
like 2 weeks. It's like my energy. So basically, man, I feel like the shift that happened for me, I'm gonna explain this very unarticulately because I'm just saying what actually happened, man. Is like bro, a series. Okay, so bro, you know that I did my Vedic astrology a little while back. So for everyone listening, um, basically I had gone through in an incredibly difficult time. I believe I spoke about it in different episodes, right? Basically, at in I believe May or June last year, 1 year ago, I did my Vedic astrology with one of the top Vedic astrologer people in Sri Lanka, and we even had to have a translator on the call because this guy's like the real deal. And basically, what he said was, Dim, your 7.5 year, it's called Upala period, basically the worst period, and it doesn't happen to everyone, but certain people who have it in their chart, it's a 7.5 year period. It's the worst period of their life. Often people die during this period. It's a very, very challenging period. Anyway, Dim, yours was from late October, I believe it was October 2017 to the 29th of March 2025. And it was crazy because this guy didn't know anything about me except for my I don't think he even had my name. I think he only had my birth date, time, and like the location. And he goes, so he'd actually just finished Dim, but there's gonna be like a whiplash period, or basically like a period of uh like where it subsides basically. So and he goes, that period is going to end on the 2nd of June, which is 10 days ago, 2nd of June 2026, right? By the way, Ketch, I independently corroborated this with Gemini. I literally went to Google Gemini and
Yeah,
it said, just act as a Vedic astrologer
yeah,
and here's my blah blah blah, read it. And
yeah,
then that said the same thing, right?
yeah,
So basically, man, and ironically, and hey, you know what? If anyone's gonna believe me, it's you,
yeah.
Kedge.
No, of course.
On the 2nd of June, man, I didn't make this ish up. You didn't even know this, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, this is a very personal story for everyone listening. But uh, um, so after me and my fiance broke up, she went through an incredibly difficult time, especially, and for that reason, um, look, I didn't contact her parents much, at all, right after we broke up, because I didn't want to add more stress to what she was already going through or mixed signals. Kej, yeah, you don't. I know you don't know this story, man, but I genuinely, my bro, felt quite shit and guilty because her beautiful parents are like so good, and they had me in their house as a son
Mm,
for freaking 4 years,
mm,
and then it was just like I just disappeared, you know.
mm,
So I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I always felt like very guilty and sad about that. Anyway, bro, every day this year, I've like thought of them, her,
mm,
my ex-fiance's parents, just, yeah, and just that I feel like I did the wrong thing by just disappearing without a trace. Well,
mm,
even though they could message me anytime, it was just like I never reached out,
mm,
apart from the one time. Uh, so anyway, on Sunday, it would have been like the 8th of June. By the way, I did all this Vedic astrology stuff after, right? So on like the 8th, I believe, I don't know the date, uh, was something. I messaged my them, and it was a very genuine message, Kedge, and I just apologized, and I just, yeah, it was just tears coming out of my eyes. I wrote the message, and I also sent a voice message to him. It was the Sunday, and later on in that Sunday, man, I get a message back from my old mum-in-law,
mm,
and she was crying a lot, and she said, Dim, there's nothing to apologize. We have no bad feelings to you about any of this. We understand and we love you very much, and blah 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 blah, and we hope you're well. And also, Dim, just so you know, we're on holiday at the moment, but we'd love to see you soon. We're on holiday in Bali. I don't know if you've been to Bali recently, Dim. They didn't know that I live here, man,
mm.
and they were like, "Yeah, we're getting to a place called Ubud today, which is where I live, right? We're getting to a place called Ubud today." And I couldn't believe what I'm listening to, because after 3.5 years of not
Mm,
contacting them, the day that I messaged them was the
mm,
day that they arrive in Ubud, which is where I live, and so then and then we're like, okay, we're definitely gonna meet up because it's like meant to be.
mm,
And so we couldn't meet up on the Sunday or the Monday, and so we arranged to meet up on the Tuesday. And it actually turned out that the Tuesday, I hadn't found this out afterwards. Tuesday was actually the 2nd of June, which was that special day for me, right? Also on that morning, I again like didn't know about any of this stuff. Bro, I woke up at 4 a.m. somehow that morning on Tuesday, the 2nd of June. Because, bro, the full moon was like beaming like crazy through my window. It was
yeah.
so bright that I couldn't, like, my eyes open because of the moon was so bright, bro.
Mm,
And I had this huge realization, dude, of like all of these things that I was kind of doing wrong, man. Like one of them was like not resting my brain enough and just needing to enjoy myself more, but also um a big one, Kedge, was like I had kind of adopted this mindset of just being burnt out all the time
mm,
and just working so hard. But then I was like, but then the biggest thing I've been struggling with, and Kedge, was like my energy levels
mm,
and getting sick and stuff. And then I came to realize, man, and then the reason I came to this is because I listened to this uh, Neville Goddard manifestation meditation every night. But somehow this time when I was listening to it, I thought about it differently. One of the
mm,
things he says is you want to visualize yourself when you have made the $500,000 or the $1 million, or you
mm,
want to visualize yourself and you want to be that vibration of you right now. So you want to connect to you, the version of you who is this version of you, who's the $1 million version of you or whatever. And bro, when I did, sorry man, this is a long story. I hope it's
No,
okay.
no, please go. Please keep
Uh,
going.
Thanks, man.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
so bro, when I was thinking about, I just gave it a fresh thought because I had heard this meditation a million times all year, but I gave it a fresh thought, and I'm like, hang on, man. Okay, when I'm the $1 million version of me or whatever, um, how would I feel? It's one of the questions. And then I realized, man, I don't think I'd feel any different because at the minute I hit $1 million a year, I'm gonna look at my friend, probably you or someone else, going, oh yeah, but this guy's doing 10 million, and then when you hit 10 million, oh yeah, but my friend's got he's doing 70 million. Because who's to say? Because that's exactly what I'm doing now. It's like, bro, I fucking like now when I've made 40 grand in a month, I haven't even just had the humility
Mm,
to be like, this is dope,
mm,
you know? And so it completely makes sense that when I do that like, because when I'm making the 40 grand in a month, I I'm already thinking, yeah, but these guys are doing this,
mm,
and it was very humbling for me, man. And I just was like, so so why am I being that way? Why am I not celebrating or appreciating or just remembering how fucking cool it is that I'm even doing this?
mm,
And I realized, oh, it's because like I wanted to just motivate myself to do better. And then I just realized that that strategy is not working because that
mm,
strategy is just leaving me with no energy.
mm,
Actually, when I was the old Dim, who used to be like, "Wow, man! Like I left corporate, and I can't believe it. Like I made all this money in a month. Like even if it was $2,000, wow! Like my business made two
mm,
thousand bucks a month. Like that gave me the energy to keep going, man. And bro, long story and then meeting my parents-in-law was incredibly healing as well for I think everyone, and a
mm,
lot of stress seemed to come off. um, bro, ever since then, so it's been 10 days, dude, it's like I really feel like the young Dim that you met, Kedge, where
mm,
it's like, it's like I'm trying to practice the humility, not trying, I'm practicing the humility to shut the F up about wanting X amount per year and going, bro, can you have the humility to celebrate the fact that you're doing this,
mm.
and I've just noticed my energy and everything is like a million times better, man. So I just wanted to that was a complete side story,
Nah,
but since you brought
man, I've got so many questions, so many thoughts, but that's not a beautiful story though, honestly. Like, um, yeah, man, I'm gonna let me what do I want to prioritize my questions around? Okay, cool. I'll park one to the side for a second. And we don't have that much time left, so I will just even the part that you said what you're getting excited about and the money and how before even 2000 you used to get excited. I remember you getting even a different frame, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts if you still think about it this way, which I'm sure you do. But before, it was very personal. You thought about the boys that you helped, and the money just came. And it's like even for me, I kind of same thing. I genuinely don't even look at the money, but that's not in the frame of not I'm not excited by it. But it's like for me, it's like every client is personal. Like I know this, like even for us, we work with property and blah blah. But I know their story. I know where they're from. I know their background. Like it's a very personal interaction with every single client, and it's like that is what makes it special. And because we operate in that way, and I feel like that's what makes us unique, and that's a uniqueness that you can't put in marketing or whatever. But that's just the experience, and people hear about it, and then they share it with their friends and all those other things. But I think that's the frame. So I'm curious. Yeah, I know you spoke about getting excited about even the small wins. Curious if that lens, yeah, if you still look at it through that lens too, which I'm sure you do. But just
You know what, man? In the spirit of keeping it real and honest on this podcast and not, not doing yeah, man.
yeah,
Like, I think there's a part of me that has lost.
mm,
Um, I think if you were really to put a gun to my head and today was my last day, I would 1,000,000% cry and see the faces of all the boys that have come through the program and how lucky I am. But man, somewhere in this, and maybe this is my homework between now and next week,
mm,
it's like I've lost connection to that original love. I think part of that is because also like um you don't want to get carried away with like I think what I'm trying to reconcile, Kedge, and maybe you have some words on this. I would appreciate if you do, man.
Mm,
I think part of it is like I'm not the hero, I'm not the savior, I'm not Superman, so
mm,
I don't want to get carried away by their praise on me because
mm,
they're the hero. I'm the
mm,
facilitator of their journey. But I almost I'm almost keeping their praise at a distance
mm.
because I want them to be the hero and I'm just facilitating the journey.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, I feel like because I also experience, we covered it even in in our show, people saying shit about me. So it's like I feel like if you're attached to the praise, you also get negatively impacted a lot by the hate. But
Yeah.
for me, like taking a step back and letting them be there. But I don't think just because I'm taking a step back from the praise and letting the boys be their own hero, which is the right thing. I don't think that means that I should still be able to have appreciation and fucking enjoyment of their outcomes. And I think I do, like, to be honest, okay, when I see the boys in the entrepreneurs group,
Yeah.
when I see them thriving, like even the
Yeah.
beginning of this call before we hit record,
Yeah.
I was genuinely lit up because I'm like,
Yeah.
these boys are making money. And I think, Kedge, what it
Mm,
is like you mentioned this in on one of the other calls. It's like um the boys that I think the boys who are entrepreneurial, I'm actually got tears thinking about it. I am emotionally moved by that
mm,
because they're taking uh the wisdom learned and then they're applying it. And then also
mm,
them applying it in their businesses gives them an anchor to keep
mm,
doing the inner work. So,
mm,
but whereas the other boys who treated this shit like a quick fix, ironically, I wanted to bring this up with you, Kedge. One of the
mm,
boys wanted to um come for a refresher, right?
mm,
But then when I was listening to him, and I see, dude, I make fucking money by
mm.
just going, yep, come,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Yeah.
financially incentivized to come, right, right. But when I was listening to him, it was like he had just regressed back to his old patterns. And
Mm,
even though I make it so accessible, so
mm,
fucking cheap and accessible for them to continue the journey, so
mm,
so
mm,
fucking
mm.
cheap, man. Like, um, they don't. Some of them don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, this guy had regressed to his old habits, and then he kind of wanted to come back, but he had gone through a spiritual journey with a lot of drugs and shit. And so he wanted to come back, but almost to experience the retreat again like a trip, like,
Sure.
yeah, like a spiritual trip, as opposed to like making real changes in his life. And I
Mm,
kind of was like, man, I don't know if that's really the retreat's really the right thing for you, you know?
mm.
So I think there's clearly a bit of burning that I've experienced. I'd love your thoughts, man, on this.
Yeah. Yeah. It might sound simple to me, but it's like the reality is, look, I try, yeah. So the same way you don't get attached to the outcome from the positives, but the same way you don't get attached. Because in the end of the day, you're giving your best. Same way for me, I'm giving my best to all our clients. And a lot of the work that we do, they don't even know, right? They don't know behind the scenes, the effort, the time, the energy, and what we're kind of giving to them. But we're going to give it anyway. And by the end of it, what they choose to walk away from and do, like that's not your responsibility, but at least you know in your heart you can walk away and you know what you've done. And then in the end of the day, like there's no such thing. It's naive to think there's a perfect business that you're going to help every single person. They're all going to change their lives and they're all going to have perfect relationships and make money. And that's not realistic, right? But net position is out of all of your clients, net position is
For
majorly
sure,
positive,
for sure,
majorly positive, right?
sure,
So yeah, so just every relationship that they've healed, every person that's making more money, getting fitter, doing all their stuff. So just net results. So just focus on that and you keep making more net positive. And just, I think sometimes, I think we touched on this in the previous episode, sometimes the negative ones feel bigger in our mind, right? But these stories that you're telling me are probably going to be a handful compared to the 80, 90% that are walking away, thing. So yeah, just not that, forget about that, but just give each one the appropriate level of weight and just yeah, just remind yourselves of all that stuff. And I think it will keep coming and then you will start giving that same energy back to the boys because you know what I mean? And I think it will just keep flourishing and growing from there. It is for honest truth is even for me, it's a slower burn doing it that way. Number of times that we could have got a good result for a client And there's people that do these house and land packages, and we get like 45 grand a client for doing that, right? And we
Oh,
still get a good result, you know. So the client's not going to walk away feeling like we've shortchanged them. But for us, it's like we genuinely want to get them the best outcome. So we'll take the 15K that we charge, and even the 45K, the client won't even necessarily know about it. They don't pay us, right? We get paid
yeah,
by the
the
other
developer.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we could have gone down that route. And but it's like eventually that 2 degree shift, 3 degree shift that you kind of make there will come back to bite you down the line, you know? So it's just don't just keep doing what you do best. And same for me, same for you. And we just got a element of faith, element of trust in that as well. But I just think, you know, it might take a couple of years longer or whatever it is, but the end outcome, it's going to be a much more fulfilling journey and I think overall be a better outcome. And just got to have, yeah, man, a bit of faith. That's my that's my thoughts on that.
You are an angel, Kedge, and no, I think that's beautifully said. And hey, like quick on that guy, at the end of the day, he was trying to come back to the retreat, wasn't he? So it couldn't have been that bad. Like he wanted to come again, right?
Yeah,
He wanted
correct,
to do
correct.
it one more time.
Yeah.
Um, and he did really, really well after it, but then he got thrown off by a relationship thing that happened, basically, is what happened. He
Yeah.
actually was he was blowing up his business anyway. But bro, I think I am definitely, just to keep it self-honest, definitely a culprit of that negative bias getting skewed. And I think what
Mm.
I might take away as homework for today is yeah, genuinely, man. Like I might just go through the list of all the clients. That I got the whole list, and just reflecting on each one, and and even their testimonials. And I think I'm definitely a culprit of my mind getting skewed by the few that, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
man.
it's only happens because you care, right? Because you want because deep down you want 100% success rate. It's just not realistic, right? It's just a bit delusional. But we just want that. We can for each one that doesn't work out because we've had situations like that too, and definitely feel the same way in those times. We definitely put a higher weight, but it's only because we care. But we just got to remind ourselves that that's the case and just step out of it, you know? So yeah, so. Whew. No, I think that's a nice way to end. I think we ended on a high there. So. Yeah, man. Matt, that's I think that's all fun. I'm starving. End of a big week, so I'm keen to wrap it up and just go chill out for the night, man.
And thank you so much, everyone. I think today was a real powerhouse episode. I want Kedge to have the last word. Kedge, do you want to bring it home for everyone?
Yeah, no, once again, just nice recap. And I think once again, it's just the theme of this whole podcast is just richness in all areas of life. And I think we went on a lot of different tangents today, but it was kind of touching on, we talked about some spiritual stuff, we talked about relationship stuff, and these all intertwined. So hope that you took something away from it from somewhere. And even just this working on this one part, it would have like a flow-on effect to the other parts as well. So and as always, I know we go off on random tangents, but if there's anything that really interested you or you have specific questions about anything, please, keen to talk about it. So drop them in the comments. Until next time.
Until next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.